Cade McNamara and Brendan Sullivan, both out with injuries, so Iowa was on their third starting quarterback of the season. Jackson Stratton is a transfer from Colorado State and a typical fourth string for this team. But after the extended bye break, things seem to work out just fine. Tonight's event was to recognize the 90 nominees, but it also served as a great way for not only the artists, but everyone involved to connect with the love of music being at the root. From Riverside Casino, Collin Carrithers, DITV. Already an intense rivalry game with such a sign of disrespect from Nebraska, how did that fuel the Hawkeyes the rest of the contest? The winning school will receive a $1 million donation after the December 6th deadline at the Big Ten Football Championship game. From the Iowa Memorial Union, Collin Carrithers, DITV. The Iowa returners did well to help Iowa win 32-9 over Stanford, but there are some Carver Hawkeye Arena first-timers that excelled in their new atmosphere. They, alongside Team Canada, finished 5th in Paris, but they are still able to kick back and enjoy that Olympic experience. Well, a lot of that production came after a 23-2 scoring run to end the first quarter, but the team still wants to see more out of their young core. Now, as Caitlin Clark becomes the all-time leading scorer in women's basketball, she's also just around 100 points away from becoming the all-time leading scorer in men's or women's collegiate basketball. From the airliner, Collin Carrithers, DITV Sports. Iowa men's basketball, a program typically coined as a family business. They've had the Murray brothers as well as the Sanford brothers now, but they also have a second generation of players coming through Iowa. A prominent place for storytelling and one of the best stories in the country. Iowa men's basketball has been the forefront of collegiate athletics, and now the Daily Iowan is providing fans a new way to view their story from a completely new lens. Now, Brady, we talked about it in the breakdown earlier. Could be a really close game and expected some Big Ten hard-nosed football. So if I want that belt back, I'm going to need to bring in some magic. So here's this, Brady. I'm bringing in some magic that helped me win this week. 1962 game-worn helmet is going to help me as Iowa is going to win this game. I've got Iowa winning 34-17. I believe in this offense to score and hold Wisconsin a little bit lower and keep Luke Fickell on the hot seat.
Really? Just have that?
They needed something. Got to help with this head up here. I'm back in my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio. As you can see behind me, the skyline of downtown. But if you focus in right here, yeah, that's Paycor Stadium, home of the Cincinnati Bengals. And yeah, I don't really want to talk about their defense, so we're going to leave that aside. But it's also the home of former Hawkeyes Eric All Jr. and Geno Smith. Now, when you look at the Bengals roster, Eric All is unfortunately hurt. But when you look at Iowa's roster this past weekend, it was Cade McNamara, Brendan Sullivan, Jamari Harris, amongst a bunch of others who were injured. So how did the team fare without them? Iowa's Hillary Cox has had her success on the field, but now she's using her field hockey experience to conduct a study unlike anything ever done before.
I did a lot of review of what is out there in the world and what studies have been done already, and there is very, very little on the sweep skill, so a lot of what we know is just from experience and isn't backed up with data.
A sweep skill is mostly seen during penalty corners and looks something just like this, flat and quick. So for their study, they'll have participants do just that.
And we realized, I think there was only 1 or 2 different studies that had actually studied it. And so we wanted to contribute to the literature by providing some objective analysis about what makes a successful sweep happen.
They'll be looking for certain metrics including acceleration, knee angle, and stick angle, but to be able to pick up this data, they'll be using a special tool from Hillary's professor, Rachel Vitale.
We're putting these sensors on different body segments, and because we're collecting all of this data, we can actually figure out how they're moving.
The study will also serve its benefits for players and their health.
What we're doing with this study and the information we'll gain from it as well will help maybe in the future guide injury prevention strategies for field hockey.
Now, Cox has been flooded with academic awards. She was named to the Big Ten Fall Academic All-Conference team last year and was on the Division I National Academic Squad in 2022. But this is a sport that's been near and dear to Hillary's heart ever since she was young.
So I started playing field hockey when I was 10. One of my best friends joined a rec league at the Park District over the summer, and I fell in love with the sport. I think it's fast-paced, it's exciting, there's a lot to learn.
Using the wearable sensors to understand something that she has done over and over and over again for more than a decade.
Hillary Cox and Professor Vitale are hoping to have their data collected in full by the end of the fall so they can start to analyze it during the spring semester. From Grant Field, Collin Carrithers, DITV Sports. As the saying goes, practice how you play, but Iowa soccer has turned futuristic The Train. The world of virtual reality has made its way to the Hawkeye goalkeepers. Brought in by new assistant coach JP Valadares, the goalkeepers are in their first year of using a type of VR headset called an Oculus to simulate 2 different drills. One is based off reaction and speed, and the other visualizes being at goalkeeper. These games can help prepare them mentally and give them ideas for real-time experience, but with the wear and tear of a season, the physical component is worthy to note.
Shooting balls and doing stuff like that, that's a lot of physical toll, so being able to do it by yourself and just when you want to come in at your convenience is a lot more helpful when it comes to just kind of getting it done.
I think it's nice to be able to do something and still feel like you're making progress without kind of throwing yourself on the ground when you know your body just needs the day off.
Now, the team uses the system only about 1 to 3 times a week, depending on if they're in season or not, but it still adds a competitive nature among the group with some fun sprinkled in.
We always are like, oh, hey, what was your high score? Or how many did you use your left versus right? So it's little things like that that kind of just make us, laugh and joke.
And the goalkeepers take pride in their improvements and skills on the VR drills throughout the year.
I actually think that people don't think it's as hard as it looks. I think when we do the blaze spots, they're like, oh, that looks easy, I can do that. But once you actually get to the actual times and stuff like that, they're like, no, it's pretty hard.
And I even got a chance on the VR set and can attest it's not as easy as they make it look. You didn't see that. That one you didn't see. With this unique way to train, Iowa soccer hopes it continues to aid to their already stellar season. From the Iowa Soccer Complex, Collin Carrithers, DITV Sports. The Heartland Trophy battled for under the lights of Kinnick Stadium, but those lights were not too bright for Iowa. The Hawkeye defense held Wisconsin to just 2 scores and collected their 11th and 12th interceptions on the day, passing last year's total, one of those including Nick Jackson's first collegiate interception and first pick since childhood.
I want to go on record saying the last time I had an interception, my best friend, my brother, really is Kyle Hamilton. He plays on the Ravens. So, when I was 6 or 7 in Pee Wee football, he was the Bengals and I was the Jets. That was a pick 6. So that was the last time I had an interception, honestly.
Well, for Iowa, defensively, they played a full 4 quarters, but offensively, one man continues to put up Heisman-like numbers. Again, Caleb Johnson led the swarm with 135 yards and 3 touchdowns, the third being his 20th and 120th point of the season, tying the single-season school record.
I think I'm most impressed with it just as an approach. He's just the maturity that he's playing with right now and practicing with. He's like that all week long. He's staying so focused right now, and that's a real tribute to him.
This also led a full 329-yard rush game from Iowa. This was the most rush yards against Wisconsin since 1990, which was also the last time Iowa went back-to-back seasons rushing 200 yards or more against the Badgers, which he did again in the win today. All this pushed for the 3rd straight home game with 40-plus points for a 42-10 Hawkeye takedown.
It's always special in a trophy game because, we don't want that to come from, go over there. So it's awesome. So just knowing that, we just came out on top and staying here is pretty cool. And, like I said, we just focus on UCLA now, so.
While keeping the Heartland Trophy in Iowa City for the 3rd consecutive year, the Hawkeyes officially become bowl eligible with their 6th win. From Kinnick Stadium, Collin Carrithers, DITV Sports.